Hello and welcome everybody to a new video. Today I'm making a video discussing or sort of reviewing the Shelby Cobra 427. Now, first thing you may want to know is where can you get this vehicle? And for people that play Gran Turismo 7 regularly, you'll probably know you can get it at the Hague dealership for 2.5 million credits. But if you don't, well, that's where you get it and that's how much it costs. So, the things about this car that are very important to note is that its performance yields a huge amount of power. It can actually accelerate incredibly fast with nearly 500 horsepower, 484 to be exact, and is super lightweight too. Surprisingly for an American car of the time period, it only weighs 1,068 kilos because it is basically a race car for the road. And the performance level of this car is around 580 at 579.45 if you want to be perfectly exact, which is around the same as the BMW M4, but the M4 gets its performance points from a very different point, like very different driving style and system. But you might be asking, what is the car like to drive? Because of course you can sort of see it here on screen. It seems a little bit oversteery from what you would probably see, but generally the car is actually very fast and quite controllable, because as you can see, even with the oversteer, you can very much control its direction, get it powered down and fly down the straights as it accelerates incredibly fast. But with a lot of American cars at the time, including this one, top speed is limited. This one has a top speed, despite having 500 horsepower, a top speed of only 250 kilometers per hour, which really isn't bad for a car of its time, especially the fact that it's an American car in the time period, which was always geared towards acceleration at the time. But swapping the stock gearbox for a racing one will greatly improve your top speed with no power improvements necessary. So now this is probably the biggest and most important question. Can you use it to gain the money back you spent on purchasing it? Because this is 2.5 million credits. That's a lot of credits. So is it possible to get that back? Well, yes, because you can with some minor non-permanent improvements, so improvements you can take away later. You can enter it in the Le Mans World Touring Car 700. All you need to do is purchase the correct tyres, racing hard, intermediates and wet weather tyres, and upgrade brake suspension, because this car is a much older car, it's from the 60s, so it's going to obviously need some upgrades there to compete with the Group 4 cars, and probably change the gearbox as well, because the gearbox in this car, as I've already mentioned, is geared towards acceleration, and Le Mans is a very high-speed circuit, even with the two chicanes. So you might want to get a racing gearbox and increase the speed from 250, maybe bring in the 300s, I'd say low to mid 300 range, depending on if you want to increase power. But I don't really feel like increasing power or weight reduction is necessary in this car, because it is one of the lightest cars if you compare it to a Group 4 race car, and it is more powerful than any of the Group 4 race cars stock. So that's quite remarkable. It's very, very good in terms of power. So just increasing the gearing, you can get an absurd amount of speed. And the other thing is, you can bring it back to stock standard configuration after, and you can drive it like stock standard again whenever you want, and then bring it back to the race later. The only major drawbacks I could see in doing this race, the Le Mans 700, is that, well, it's got a 1967 litre engine, so it's going to use a lot of fuel, so I recommend you keep it on fuel map 6 the majority of the race. And if you want to know exactly how long it takes you to get all of those credits back, it'll take you about an hour and a half of racing Le Mans, which for 2.5 million credits, and if you generally enjoy the car, you can get the money back on it. It does take a bit of time, but it'll be a great car to add to the collection if you generally like American muscle cars and you want to collect all American cars, or you just want to collect all the cars in the game in general. This is actually a very good one for having a lot of fun in a lot of different events, including Le Mans, which can give you considerable amounts of money. So I'm hoping that sort of showed you exactly if it's worth purchasing this car next time it's in the dealership, because it was in the dealership recently. With the way Gran Turismo is, you have no idea when it'll come back, and neither do I. So I'm going to, I guess, end the video here, because I have showed you and told you everything you will probably need to know about the car, exactly where it can be used, And if you do want to see more videos like this on different vehicles, I recommend to you to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.